The journey of Moses and the Israelites had been filled with miracles, struggles, and moments of deep faith. Yet the greatest moment of all was still to come. The moment when Moses would ascend Mount Sinai to receive the divine commandments, laws that would shape generations to come. The people of Israel had finally crossed the sea, leaving Pharaoh and his tyranny behind. They were free, yet their hearts were restless. They needed guidance, structure, and a way to live their new life with faith and obedience. And it was here, in the wilderness, at the foot of Mount Sinai, that destiny called Moses once again. One day, a divine command reached him. He was to climb the mountain, alone to meet with God. The mountain stood tall and mysterious, its peak disappearing into clouds of smoke and thunder. The Israelites looked on in awe and fear as Moses prepared to ascend. The air grew heavy, and the mountain itself seemed alive, trembling with the power of the unseen. As Moses climbed higher, each step felt heavier, not from the mountain's steepness, but from the weight of what awaited him. He knew this was no ordinary meeting. At the summit, lightning flashed, thunder roared, and the very earth beneath him trembled. Yet Moses did not turn back. With unwavering faith, he stepped into the storm of God's presence. And there on Mount Sinai, the unimaginable happened. God spoke directly to his chosen prophet. The voice was unlike anything human ears could comprehend, mighty, overwhelming, yet filled with wisdom and truth. Moses fell to the ground, humbled, listening with his heart and soul as divine words were revealed. God gave him the commandments etched on tablets of stone by divine power itself, laws that would guide humanity to worship only the one true God, to honor parents, to protect life, to respect truth, and to live with justice. These were not just rules for the Israelites, but eternal principles for mankind. Each word carved into the stone felt eternal, unshakable, and sacred. As Moses received the tablets, his face shone with a light so radiant that it frightened those who later saw him. It was the reflection of divine glory, a reminder that he had stood in the presence of his Creator. This was a connection unlike any other, a bond between a man and God that history would remember forever. For 40 days and nights, Moses remained on the mountain. He fasted, prayed, and immersed himself in divine wisdom. His heart became filled with a peace and strength that only comes from closeness to God. He was no longer just the man who had fled Egypt, no longer just the leader who split the sea. He was now the bearer of God's eternal law. Meanwhile, at the foot of the mountain, the people grew impatient. Their faith wavered, and they longed for Moses' return. But Moses knew that this sacred time was necessary. Without it, his people would wander not just through deserts of sand, but deserts of the soul. When he finally descended, carrying the tablets of law in his hands, the entire nation stood in awe. The commandments were not merely words, they were a covenant, a promise between God and his people. Through Moses, they were given the guidance they desperately needed to live as a faithful nation.
This moment on Mount Sinai was more than history.
The laws received by Moses continued to echo across centuries, forming the foundation of justice, morality, and worship for millions who came after. Moses' deep connection with God on Mount Sinai remains one of the most powerful stories ever, told a reminder that true leadership is not about power or pride, but about surrender, faith, and carrying the light of guidance to others. The mountain still stands, silent yet eternal, as if guarding the memory of that sacred meeting between man and his Creator. And the commandments still stand as a living testament that when humanity seeks truth, God provides it through his chosen messengers.